Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video, and today I decided I was going to take a look at a developer answers from a Russian speaking stream in Gaijin's office. That's not me being stupid, that's genuinely what the title for this Reddit post is. Posted 19 hours ago, and I do believe Tiger Frost, who was the one who brought it to my attention, not deliberately of course, but through his video, and the European Canadian have already taken a look at this, and now I figured it was my turn to jump into the pool. Before I begin, the background footage you're currently watching is just some background footage from the April Fool's event. I was planning on using it in a video of itself, but yeah, I decided not to, and I needed some background footage for this video, so there you go, you're getting that. Okay, number one. They believe that the Object 906 is balanced, but they will think about his battle rating. Its battle rating. They have, of course, just put this Object 906 up 0.3 a battle rating as a result of its 4.3 second reload rate. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that. Basically, what I'm going to do for this video is go through the answers and give an opinion. That's fairly straightforward. Number two, announced the T62M. Right, okay, well, thankfully I have a picture for that. This is the T62M. Anybody who's familiar with the T64BV, more on that coming later, and the T55 with the IRA armour on it will recognise that. That's basically all it is. It's a T62 with the armour plating on. As far as I'm concerned, we need another sort of medium main battle tank kind of thing at high tier for Russia, although I would have suggested just slapping the ERA armor plating onto the T55A over putting the T62M into the game. Why they feel the need to add it, I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm very much agreeing with Tiger Frost on this. So long as whatever is added is balanced properly, well modelled, and works in the game meta, at least to its best ability, I have no issues with this whatsoever. Of course, this is in theory. Number three, they really are planning to hide the Panther and King Tiger 105 from the research line, but in return they will be introducing other vehicles to replace them. Whether this means they're actually going to be dropping them from the game entirely and replacing it for everybody, or whether the people who have researched them are going to get to keep them and get the other vehicles as well, well, it remains to be seen. It is possible that they will move them over to the right hand side where the premium vehicles and collectibles are and put the two main vehicles into the tech tree. If they make those of us that already have the 105 and the Panther 2 research the new vehicles, I'm not going to be very happy. But that's basically the long and short of it. Number four, there will be more patches with improved graphics and optimization. Good. Number five, premium M46 will not be moved to 5th rank. Can't say I'm really complaining, I've never played it. So when I bought my first premium was the M26E1, and I had never played either of them. Well, I'd never played either of them, and I basically flipped a coin over which one I wanted, and I went for the M26 in the end, rather than the Korean era M46 pattern. But there we go. Number six, they are satisfied with the balance of the RU-251, but they will take another look. The RU-251 used to be a plague, to put it lightly. When it was first added, it was an absolute nuisance, but I don't see them very much now. I think that is they kind of nerfed heat, and heat's not as good as it used to be, so that would explain that. As far as I'm concerned, if I'd actually ever driven it, I would have been able to provide more of a comment on this, but as I have never driven it, then I can't really comment, so moving on. They will not... Helicopters will be introduced to all countries. They will not begin with 1st rank, but for each country they found at least 2 machines. Right. I know that they've been on about adding helicopters for a while, since last year's April Fool event in fact. And I'm all for them adding them. I really, really, really do want the helicopters to be added in the game. From my perspective, trying to play them on PS4 though was an absolute nightmare. The control scheme was just all over the shop, so that may need a little bit of reworking, but then if they were actually added in the game, I would try and set up my own controls to work properly. So there's that. For the Russians, let me think. There's the twin-bladed short attack helicopter they could add. There's the Mi-24 Hind. There's the Mi-28 Havoc. I haven't got pictures for these, I'm afraid, but just stick it in Google if you don't know what they are. For the Americans, we've got the Cobra and the Cayuse, the OH-6 Cayuse, which is a little thing. Anyone who's played Modern Warfare 2 will be infinitely familiar with that. For the British, we've got the Apache. For the Germans, the Cobra, which is a very... not Cobra, what is it called? Tiger, which is a very good helicopter, apparently. So, those are just some ideas. Number 8, with helicopters in the game, they will introduce stronger self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, including an anti-aircraft missile system. Ooh! Yeah, I'm calling it now. Top-tier jets are going to be added sooner rather than later. Number 9, rebalancing of 8.3 and 8.7 are not planned. Right, they've clearly never played the M60A1 then, have they? Try playing the M60A1 at 8.3, getting into 9.3 games constantly, and then telling me that it's a good tank. Good luck with that. 10. Prototypes of night vision devices and thermal images are being developed. And you're removing the Panther 2? Alright, okay, sure. But still, I would quite like to see that in the game. I've been on about having, you know, the spotlights on the top of some of the tanks in the game, like the T62, the T55A, the M48 pattern. You know, these are things that have spotlights mounted on them that don't work. It would be nice if they did, personally. IS-7 will be introduced. Nothing new, really. We always knew it was going to be some form of reward vehicle or an event vehicle or something like that. But, sure, why not? Italian tanks are being worked on. Tanks are being worked on. We knew this anyway, but good. Be interesting to see what the Italians get at top tier. Number 13. Abrams ammunition load will be revised. The reload speed may be reduced due to the speed of the ammo door opening. The explosion of ammunition and the damage to the ammo doors will destroy the tank. When the ammo rack is damaged, all the shells will disappear. This change will be in-game soon. Ammunition on fire cannot be put out with a fire extinguisher. Tower with burning ammo rack will have to turn away from the engine compartment to avoid fire and wait for the fire will be over. So basically you're going to have to wait for the fire to burn out before... from the sounds of that, this is obviously translated from Russian, so it's not going to be perfect. But from the sounds of that, it's basically going to be you have to wait until the fire goes out rather than putting it out with a fire extinguisher. I don't have the Abrams yet, so again, I can't really comment on that. Ooh, another good one. The T80 model is ready. Ooh. So, I know there's one person in particular who's a big fan of the T80, who is a subscriber to me. Hello, you know who you are. Yeah. Just, the T80 is basically an upgraded T64, okay? The Soviet T-series tanks, the T62 and the T55, and then you have the T64, which is basically a tank in its own right. It's not really very similar to the T62 or the T55. The T72, however, is basically an upgrade on the T55 series, using the T62's hull, so it's more like an upgrade of those two, whereas the T80 is an upgrade of the T64 lineage of tanks. The T90 is kind of a combination of the two. The T80 is very, very fast for what it is. 125mm gun, same as the other T-series tanks at that sort of era. Introduced in the 80s, I think, hence the name T80. So, yep, that will be very, very nice to see. That's a point, actually. The T62M, I forgot to mention earlier, that was introduced in 1983. So, I think 80s, 90s is where they're sort of going to be, for now at least, cutting off the Russian top-tier tank line. So, what is the next one? 15. T64B will be improved to the T64BV version via the modules already in-game. Right, okay, so here is a picture of the T64BV. Much like the T62M, this is basically just an ERA package on the front of the T64B. The gun is the same, the shells are the same, nothing will change other than the armor, basically. Now, there is a bit of a debate about whether it's a good idea to have the ERA armor plating as an upgrade. In the case of the T64BV, I actually agree with it, but for one good reason only, and that's because we're going to have the T80 coming anyway. We don't need another researchable vehicle alongside the T62M and the T80 at top tier for Russia. in my personal opinion. And the ERA plating will work hopefully quite well defending against the Leopard 2K, which is basically the T-64B's arch nemesis at top tier at the moment, with the exception of the Abrams. But as the Leopard 2K fires Heat FS as standard, then that means the ERA plating will be more of a benefit, in my opinion. So there was a debate about this, and like I said, in the case of the T-64B, I agree with it being an upgrade to the T-64BV rather than having to research a whole other tank. Personally, I mean, I don't imagine those of you were particularly pleased to have to research the M60A1 and then research the Rise. That was kind of a piss take, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, in that case, I'm okay with that personally, but just for that tank, mind you. I'm not got a solid opinion on that as yet. 16. German and Japanese will get tanks with armor in the 6th rank, but German tank with armor, Leopard 2, will not have really good armor for his battle rating. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of this. Moving on. 17. Tanks with 2-piece ammunition will cease to be hampered by inert shells exploding, bracket, because of the game mechanics, even heat/hesh, end bracket. Only powder charges will blow up the tank. Right, so this is really straightforward, but they've worded it badly. Tanks like the Chieftain and the Challenger have 2-piece ammunition, so you have a shell and then the bag charge. Shell goes in the breech first, then the bag charge. Breech shuts behind the bag charge, and the firing pin basically detonates the bag charge, which sends the shell flying out the end of the barrel. Very straightforward. There's a lot. You don't have to remove a shell casing from the gun once you've fired, which is why the Chieftain and the Challenger do not have the ka-ching noise once you've fired, because there's no shell being ejected. There is no shell. It's just the bag charge, which basically just deteriorates inside the gun and gets blown out the end of the muzzle. So basically what this means is if you shoot the shell, there is no explosive content in the shell, because if it's Sabo anyway. If it's heat, hash, APHE, anything like that, then there will be, but in the case of Sabo, there will not be. It's just a solid slug, basically. If you shoot that with a shell, it will not detonate inside the tank. Basically, that's what it means. But I imagine it will be damaged, so it will remove it. You'll lose ammunition, but your tank won't blow up. Look at that, how you will. 18. Animation of shell casing ejection on vehicles, like T-62, are in the works, but it's hard to create. It won't be anytime soon. Cool. I'm happy with that. These little features, I mean, they added the ability to open the cockpit in aircraft, yet they say some of these things are pointless and not worth adding. Alright, sure. Looking forward to that. Well done. 19. They're looking at the balance of the P-47. They were talking about what it needs, giving it a ground spawn and or reducing the damage of M2 Browning. The Brownings, 1 minute they're really good, 1 minute they're really crap. Now, for those of you that are subscribed to Tiger Frost, you may be hearing me and thinking I'm parroting what he said. That's not true. There are a lot of things I agree with him on, and this is one of them, and I will use the same method of description as he did. The Brownings are like bombers. They're really good one patch and really shitty the next. 20. Beta testing of the fleet coming soon. Very good, great. Thinking of anti-ship missiles. That's splendid. Yeah, let's have them. Next major patch will be in May. Market improved. Well, I don't go on the market. I don't have the market because obviously on PS4 I get sick of repeating myself. But anyway, the links to all of this, well, link to the Reddit post will be in the description. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section, or on the comment section on Reddit, or wherever else the video may end up. Please like, share and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next Wolf Under video. Cheers.